And as you find yourself arriving, now consider when you're coming inside how you become a source of refuge for yourself. There's a place in you that has the capacity for kindness or friendliness towards yourself. We might think of it as starting with a warm regard for who you are. This warmth that says, I see you and I know it's my duty to care for you, which you're talking about yourself in that sentence. This kind of warm regard. And appreciate yourself for making the efforts to be here in your practice and for continuing the path of yoga in your life. And you can raise your hands to your heart. We'll chant at the third chakra today, which is the Gayatri mantra, honoring the earth, the sun, and the heavens. Om Bhagava Shivaha Tatsavitor Varenyam Argo Devasya Dhimai Yo Yona Prachodayata. Om Bhagava Shivaha Tatsavitor Varenyam Argo Devasya Dhimai Yo Yona Prachodayata. Om Bhagava Shivaha Tatsavitor Varenyam Argo Devasya Dhimai Yo Yona Prachodayata. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om. You may bow your head to your heart. Release your hands, place them down over your knees. So one of the primal instincts in us that is registered in the polyvagal system is what I've been calling this summer and the last few months, the reach reflex, our ability to reach out, our ability to go from curled in, for example, in a sort of dorsal vagal slump like this, our ability to then reach out from that place. Another instinct that we have and need to utilize is when we've gone sympathetic, when we're up in this sort of fight or flight frenzy, how to provide ourselves with a sense of grounding in relationship with others. Sometimes we can provide it for ourselves because we're taught in this culture to be very self-reliant and to do self-soothing and to be self-regulating, to have control over our bodies and our emotions. So we have this idea of this sort of self-reliance, but we're actually interpersonal creatures. And so when we go to fight flight, we might feel like, oh, let me go away and take some time to work this out and I'll come back as the more grounded version of myself. But in what ways might we learn to ground in the company of others? One key element there is that we would feel safe enough. We would have a sense of their compassionate, kind understanding of us. We would not be afraid of rejection or judgment or annihilation. We would feel like, oh, I've just gone to sympathetic and that happens to all of us. And I'm able to ground and to feel that there are others who would want the best for me, who want me not to be in this sort of ungrounded, chaotic place. In a similar way from dorsal vagal, if we have gone down and in and we've gone to social retreat, or withdrawal, it helps to know to whom are we reaching out and how are we doing that reach. And what does the safe timing feel like for us when we're in that sort of circumstance? If we take only our own counsel in these regards, we're probably counseling with the earliest, youngest parts of ourselves that needed these strategies, these neurological impulses to navigate what we didn't know how to navigate. So if we're only taking our own counsel inside, and it happens to be from the youngest, most vulnerable parts of us, that counsel may not be our best counsel. It may be adorable, it may be well-meaning, but it may not be our most mature counsel. And therefore, sometimes in these reactions, this dorsal vagal or this fight-flight, we do need the helpful counsel of those who are not right now stimulated like that. Those who may be more stable and more compassionate. They may be in their ventral vagal space, available as a heart to our heart. Okay, and so our neurological system has these different antennae, and we're kind of looking for that person or trying to recall that person. So our antenna realizes, oh, there's a signal I'm getting for safety with so-and-so. And sometimes that person is not directly there, but we remember them. We remember that they would want to hold space for us. They'd want to give wise counsel for us. And that would likely include seeing that we're in pain when we either dorsal vagal or escalate to fight or flight. How they would see us would be, oh, you've gotten hijacked. You're having a painful experience. And it's not your totality, as I said last night. It doesn't sum you up. You've come into a place of protecting. Even this is a protection. And so we have this reach reflex that I'll be talking about in class. We also have this grounding capacity that I want us to utilize in class. So please stretch both legs out. You can shake them out. I know it's probably very hot where you are in Portland. Can you believe I went to a sauna this morning? It was before 5 a.m. and there was a cold plunge. Shake the legs and just keep shaking, so whatever debris you came to class with, you're shaking that off right now. And then let that shaking, that rocking and rolling get really still. And you'll feel a kind of vibration that goes down the legs. So in dorsal vagal, we freeze and go inward. This is one way that we can help ourselves not to stay stuck there. Let's shake again, please. The dorsal vagal is an immobilization strategy. It's a neurological reflex. You can feel immobilized, sometimes even against your own conscious willfulness. You can feel immobilized. Like if you get terrified at a certain level, you go freeze like that. That's immobilization. So this is one way to loosen some of that. Let's let this get very still again. So the legs are still, but the movement of energy is going. Now bring your right knee up against your torso. Place your left hand around your right knee, right hand behind you, and please twist to your right. And let the right thigh snug up against the belly so that you're feeling the breath. It's three-dimensional, and the breath does press into your thigh and also the back of your waist during the inhale. And when you exhale, come into that really subtle experience of the Ujjayi breath. Are you able to sense the movement of the air is slow and subtle, and though it's deliberate, it's not vigorous. Twisting is another way to work with this dorsal vagal reflex, because sometimes if you exaggerate the downward inward, in other words, squeeze the belly a little more firmly during the exhale, the exaggeration loosens up during the inhale. So rather than the belly becoming sort of paralyzed in dorsal vagal, this sort of paresis, and you don't have to just breathe big to release that. You can practice squeezing the exhale a little more deliberately. And then the inhale that wants to come is going to want to be a little bit more free. And rotate around to face forward, please. Release the first side of the twist. Bend your left knee. Go to the second side. Cross your right hand around your left shin. Do encourage your thigh and your torso to touch each other. There's a little pressure against the belly. And that bit of pressure is to meet this sort of dorsal vagal reflex, this downward inward contracting reflex. Let's do 2 more breath cycles. You can practice making the exhale a deliberately deeper squeeze on purpose. And notice the freedom the inhale wants to have after that kind of contraction. And then rotate around to face forward. Let's take both legs out into Dandasana. And just notice the feeling tone that you have between yourself and yourself. Now bring both knees up to your chest. If when you do this, so I have very stiff ankles, so when I bring my knees up to my chest, I feel like I could fall over backwards because my ankles don't bend very well. My knees are up and it's like I'm going to fall backwards. I don't have an inflexible pelvis, but I do have inflexible ankles. So a strategy for that, if that's also your experience, is to raise yourself up on a little higher seat. So then the ankles can go underneath, and even though they don't bend any bit more, they're not going to push you over backwards. Okay, so thighs to your chest. Wrap your left arm around the shins. Hold across to your right outer shin as you can. Take your right hand to your belly, to your thigh, and swoosh your belly to the right. And let's practice again. It's not that you need a deliberately effortful, larger inhale. I'd like you to give an extra bit of tone to the exhale. And then see what the inhale wants to do and the freedom that may come after the contraction of the exhale. And then come around to face forward. Pause. You can rest your arms over your knees. This may seem like very simple yoga or very slow yoga. Please understand that we're being deliberate And that deliberateness can offer actually a profound relief, a deep release of tension that we didn't even know we were carrying. So now we're going to take the right arm around, hold the left shin, take your left hand to your left thigh, and squish your belly to the left. So twist, look over your left shoulder if you like. I would recommend that you don't look very far over the left shoulder. Keep your gaze closer. So maybe left and down on the floor nearby. And let's practice again the strength of the exhale that becomes the freedom of the inhale. And do that for one more breath cycle, a strong squeeze, a deliberate, not tension-filled squeeze. And then come around to face forward. Rest your hands out over your knees. Now, if you're sitting up on a block, you're good to go. If you're not yet sitting on a block, please raise your hips up onto a block and put the left leg down into the pose we call Siddhasana, and the right knee up like this. You may take an extra block. It's going to be used like a little shelf, like on the low setting, or for some people it'll be best on medium. For others, it can go to high. One of the things about what we're doing right now is that we're also contracting at the stomach or the abdomen. And there we have this vayu in yoga we call samana vayu, the vayu for digestion, to send things down. It is also the vayu that reminds pitta to go down, not up to the mind, but to burn the food and send it down. So actually, even though the twists are compressive, you may be helping your body to open that gateway where pitta descends rather than having a fiery mind or a really sweaty mind and body during the heat wave. So this goes between your foot and your knee, like so. And we're going to come down and place the forearm across the block. Place your left hand around your right ankle, right hand on your right knee. And in this forward bend position, now please twist to your right. And as you're twisting to the right, you can look down over your right shoulder or right thigh or knee, keeping your gaze closer to home, not farther from home. So closer to the body, not farther. And let's explore it again, that you can have this simple receptivity to your inhalation. And a deliberately more complete exhale. During the experience of dorsal vagal, when it goes to a certain depth in the body, we do have the feeling that we have stopped breathing, kind of a frozen breathing pattern. The inner body may feel dense and heavy. So this breath is not meant to manipulate, but to give some encouragement too. Let's do one more breath cycle here. And then come around to face forward, rise up to your seat. Now, as you're sitting with both hips on the block, both sitting bones there, the right leg up, raise your right arm, and then come forward and bring the right arm around the outside of your right shin. Left hand to the floor to the outside of your left leg. With the exhale, let the torso bow a little bit like a cat pose. But on the inhale, start gliding your chest and heart slightly forward like a cow pose. So the exhale, you're going to bow more deeply in. Press your right arm against your right shin, and with the inhale, glide your heart forward. You can't go that far because you're braced by the position of your legs. Twice more, please. Inhale to glide forward, a little bit of a reach from the heart. And exhale to bow deeply. One more time, inhale to glide forward. And then exhale to bow over your left thigh, inside your right leg. Let's bring the hands up to the legs and step the left foot out. Right foot, you can walk the right foot out a tiny ways too, and just notice the circulation going down your right leg. And then take your left foot on the outside, right foot on the inside. Wait a second. Yeah, I guess I'm not mirroring you. I'm sorry about that. I didn't mirror you. I was doing my right as I was saying right. So be it. This is my left leg. This is my right leg in real life. Okay, let's come down with the right arm to the block. You can have the block taller if that's what you need for your support. Take your left hand to your left knee or thigh and swish your belly to the left. Look over your left shoulder, but look down over your left shoulder. And as you're breathing in, again, explore that process whereby the inhale is the freedom that comes from the contraction of the exhale. You are giving yourself like a deep inner massage along the vagus nerve pathway, which does include the stomach and the gut and the diaphragm, and the organs across the rib cage, your heart. This pathway includes your throat, your pharynx, and your larynx, your voice box. And facial muscles for empathy and expression. With an exhale, please come around to face forward. Okay, and then raise your left arm up. And let's come forward with the left arm to the outside of the left shin. And right arm on the outside as well. Curl down and in, that's your exhale. Like cat pose. Inhale, slide your heart for a little bit of a reach from the heart. And exhale to bow, making the breath smooth and kind. Inhale, glide forward. And exhale to bow inwardly, downwardly. Let's do it twice more, please. And then as you release, rise up to sitting. Walk the left foot a couple inches forward. Take the right foot out and forward. And notice the circulation going down your legs. Okay, let's put the soles of the feet together, please. And if you're still sitting up on a block, I'm going to stay on my block. You can stay on your block. Just make sure it's stable. And as you sit up on the block, soles of the feet together in Baddha Konasana, please walk your hands forward somewhere where your hands feel supportive on the floor. And we're going to press the palms down and inhale, glide the heart forward. That is a part of your reach reflex. And then exhale and press your hands into the floor and curl down and in. Let the broadening of the back be something you can feel into. Inhale, glide forward. Exhale, press back. So you can also be a source of refuge to yourself. But that is something that we learn to internalize when we've had a sense of refuge also with others. And that's what makes it distinct when it's refuge. It's distinct from isolation or tuning the world out. We're moving the breath here slowly through cat and cow. The exhale is for the cat pose spine. The inhale for your cow pose spine. One more time into the exhale, please. And last time into the inhale. Walk your hands back and please hold your ankles or your toes, whatever you can reach while you're up on a block. So the length of your arms is going to be a little bit different to you. What you'll see me doing, if you can see it, is that I picked up my heels and I'm keeping my toes on the floor. Hold on to the ankles or the toes, reach up through the spine while the arms are kind of binding you, right? You can only reach up so far because the shoulders and arms are bound by the ankles and hands. And inhale to lift your heart and to look up. And exhale, curl down. And inhale to lift up and to look up. And exhale. One more time, inhale, raise up. So you're lifting your heart and your gaze. Both of those are a part of the reaching reflex. And then exhale to curl down and in. And then raise up to just your regular spine and cross the ankles. Take a seat like we do in the beginning of class. And just pause to notice, what is the feeling tone in your body right now and in your mind? Okay, let's bring this to table pose now, which is also a great place to explore this reaching and rooting or grounding reflex. And I'm going to move you guys to see the side view for me. So what I'm going to do is move the desk, which my computer is sitting on, which is an upside down miniature trash can. Just a moment. You'll see me this way. Yeah. Okay, let me make the camera a little bit lower. So come into your table pose with your knees on a blanket as needed, and remind yourself that reaching and rooting or reaching and grounding, these are reflexes that we want to have already practiced before we need. It's easier to access what we've already practiced when we need something than to look for it as a new skill in the moment. Of course, many of our students will come to us and they may not have practiced these skills. They may not have had the opportunity to practice. So we are, in that way, we are their teachers. Okay, with the exhale, we're going to go to the cat pose. And then inhale, forward to cow pose. And exhale to cat, press down through both hands. Move your cat pose more back than forward. Inhale to cow pose. Move your cow pose more forward than back. exhale, cat pose. So the pose does rock slightly back. And then cow pose. Now press into cat pose and transition it backwards to a momentary child's pose. And let's inhale, come forward, raise your right arm, cow pose. And exhale through cat to child's pose. Inhale forward, raise your left arm, cow pose. And exhale, cat pose becomes child's pose. Please continue and notice when you're moving through that some of this may be awkward and some of it may be familiar. And you're building muscle memory. You're also building a motor plan, is what it's sometimes called. And you're supporting neurological reflexes. You're not just stretching the body, in other words. Let's do once more on each side, please. Left arm forward. And back through cat pose to child's pose. Roll forward to table pose. Curl your toes under and raise up to downward facing dog pose. In downward dog pose, gaze back with your eyes open. Look back between your heels, please. And do your best to make the eyes steady, in contrast to how the eyes can become frozen or searching inwardly, but feeling hopeless during a dorsal vagal experience. Let's make the eyes steady because you're choosing to do so. A steady gaze for concentration and focus. And then come forward to table pose. Put your gaze down between your thumbs. Sit back to kneeling. And rest your gaze at the front edge of your yoga mat. Your gaze is kind of close to home is what I call that, when you're not looking like all about in the universe, that it's within a range that your dorsal vagal system could tolerate if you weren't yet ready to be like more externalized. So at the front of the yoga mat there. You can bring your hands to your heart. Inhale the hands forward, gaze at your thumbs. Exhale, follow your right thumb to the right as you twist to the right. Inhale to center where the two thumbs meet and your gaze is there. Exhale to your left, follow your left thumb. Inhale to center, the two thumbs meet. Exhale to the right. Inhale to center. Exhale to your left. Inhale to center. Once more in each direction, please. Keeping your gaze close to home, just at the end of the arm where the thumb is. Last one to the left. And then place your hands on the yoga mat in front of you where you were for table pose. And now check that you can come down to inchworm pose. That's knees, chest, and chin pose. And then we scoot forward. We come to cobra pose. I was loosening my clothing there. It got stuck under my knees. And then we're going to press up to cow pose. And then cat pose. So let's exhale to cat. Inhale to cow pose. The heart comes forward. Exhale, bow to the floor. Inhale, scoot forward, cobra. Exhale, while you're here, feel the belly against the ground. Inhale, cow pose. Exhale, cat pose. Notice the deep inner belly especially. Inhale, cow pose. Move from the belly up to the heart. Exhale, knees, chest, and chin. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, cobra pose, noticing the abdomen against the floor. And use the strength of your arms. Inhale, press up, cow paw. Once more, cat pose. Inhale, cow. The heart reaches forward from the deep low belly first. Exhale to bow. Inhale, cobra. Exhale. Inhale, cow pose. And exhale, sit back to kneeling. And once more, notice the ambiance in your body and your sense of connection beyond your own sort of inner place of, let's say, tempting isolation, the inner place of refuge, where there's a sense of connection available to you in the world. You might go to this place of refuge, but it's not mimicking isolation. Now we're going to bring both blocks into this practice, and we're going to step 1 foot forward, 1 foot back. You can have the blanket where you would need it for Anjaneyasana asana. So something like this in the middle of the mat, perhaps. And then right foot forward and left foot back, like this. I must look like a farmer doing yoga, right? Because this garden behind me is the wild garden from Brighton Bush, where they're growing the trees that are going to be replanted in the fall. And those trees are protected by all the tall grasses to keep them from singeing in the sun. So I must look like a farmer teaching you a yoga class here. Right. So right foot forward, left foot back. Let's put the left heel straight back as if you were wearing cross-country skis or you were in roller skates and you want both to point forward. And breathe in, glide your heart forward. Okay, breathe out, press down and make like a cat pose spine. Breathe in, glide your heart forward. Breathe out into a cat pose spine. Again, breathe in. Keep your gaze just towards the front edge of your mat or slightly beyond if you feel like at this time the dorsal vagal reflex does not need monitoring, that you're able to just allow the gaze to come forward and you feel that that's adding to a sense of optimism or vitality. Otherwise, you can keep your gaze closer to home. And the next time that you inhale to come forward, go ahead and stay there. And exhale, lower your left knee, let the right thigh touch up against the abdomen. Now inhale, glide your legs back, press into both feet, energize from your hips to your heels and toes. Exhale, glide forward so your right knee is going to come into the belly, the left knee touches down. Inhale, glide back. And exhale, glide forward. That is purposeful for your right thigh to be against the abdomen right there. And one more time, inhale to glide back. And now let's exhale, bend the right knee and step your left foot forward over your blanket. Step the right foot back. And inhale to glide your heart forward, the pubic bone going back. Kind of like cow pose. And then exhale to a cat pose spine. Then monitor what's helpful for you with your gaze. If keeping it closer to home feels like it still supports any bit of that dorsal vagal reflex that your body knows about, or if that simply feels safer for you this morning to have your gaze closer in, please do that. But if there's a natural inclination to reach your gaze more forward, see what that's about and follow the instinct that's there in your body. One more time, inhale to glide forward. And now exhale, bend your left knee, touch the right knee down. Inhale, reach back with both hips and forward with your heart, as appropriate with your gaze. Exhale, glide forward, touch the right knee down. Purposeful pressure of the left thigh against the belly. One more time to go forward and down. And last time to go back. And then exhale, bend your left knee. Take the left foot back down behind you, left shin, right shin. Sit on a block if you need to for kneeling. Otherwise, please come to Vajrasana again and notice what's moving now within you. And how much a part of the world do you feel yourself to be at the moment? What's happening? That gives you a sense of where your rhythm and your reach and your refuge need to be right now. I'd like us to take the 2 blocks behind. Yeah, set the block so that your hands can turn. So I have my thumb on the inside of the block and then fingers going to the outside. Roll the chest and shoulders open. Raise your heart. The extent that it feels possible for you and also generates optimism and openness, not timidity or apprehension. And then exhale, come upright. Now we're going to use the reach reflex. We're also going to be going up on the knees. We're going to go up high on the knees. Just a moment here. I don't want to be concerned about losing the hat during this movement. And I also don't want my hair in my face, so pardon the distraction. Okay, now I don't look like a farmer. I might look like a movie star or something teaching yoga. Okay, so you're in Vajrasana. Take your right hand behind you. Turn the shoulder back. Right? Raise the left arm forward. And let's inhale to push up. And exhale to come down. Now, for some of you, one block on the medium setting is going to be too short. And you can do 2 blocks. You can do them on the flat setting. You can do 1 on the flat and 1 on the medium. And if you're not sure how to make that stable, first test drive it. So you are certain that when you push down and you're going up, that feels stable and enjoyable to you. And that you can also come back down thoughtfully. And so for me, it's 1 block medium, but you may be a 2 block sort of person. Okay, left hand forward, gaze down. Press into your right hand. Inhale, rise up, follow your thumb. And exhale, follow your thumb to come down. Again, inhale to go up. Exhale to come down. Twice more. Press into the right arm, roll the right shoulder back. Practice your pose so that you're not over twisting the pelvis or the lower back. There is a slight twist in the heart because the right arm is behind and the left arm is in front. Let's change sides. Right arm forward. You can gaze towards your thumb. And inhale to rise. Left shoulder stays rolled back in the transitions. So even when you're coming down, keep the left shoulder mostly rolled back. It does become more rolled back in the farthest reach of the pose. So keep the left shoulder rolled back. We'll do this twice more. Inhale to rise and to reach. Here's the last one. And then place your 2 blocks in front of you and come down to child's pose. With your forehead resting on the blocks, and the elbows and the palms can come down to the floor. Let's do palms face up. And here we come back in for a sense of refuge, how to come back home, not in isolation, not in withdrawal, but to connect inward to the self in you, the wise and loving self in you that provides this shelter. That wise and loving self that is connected to the wisdom and love that is in everyone and everything. And now please come onto your back with your knees bent. Place your feet so they're hip distance apart. And check for yourself that you've got room overhead for the arms to go straight when you're lying down. So when you lie back like this, just check that your arms couldn't go overhead. So the arms are going to have this action where we go up and over, and they're going to come down and return. Okay, so this is for what we call bridge pose or Setu Bandhasana, and it's done as a little vinyasa. So now you're reaching, just like the last pose, you're reaching more deliberately. There's more enthusiasm, and now more effort from the legs to push the pelvis up away from gravity. The last one was an effort from the chest and the heart, and it's in the sequence because after this we're going to Shavasana, so it's not that one is necessarily developmentally before the other, but that they have different qualities to them. So press down through both heels and all 10 toes. And let's inhale up to bridge pose, arms overhead. And exhale down to your starting position, arms alongside your torso. Inhale to go up. And exhale to roll down. Make the timing very synchronized and simple and honest. And please do 2 more repetitions. Speaking from the lens of yoga, the reason that this pose is after the other pose is not just because it's closer to the floor, closer to Shavasana, but also because in this position we have Udana Vayu, the throat Vayu, is more closed. So it's inclining the mind to be more inward and downward, which is a benefit for us in Shavasana. So now to come to your Shavasana pose, go ahead and take the legs out straight. Take the arms out to the sides, and you can decide if you want to have your palms face up or palms face down. Sometimes people like to put their hands over the low belly, which is also a nice place to be. So here in your Shavasana pose, this is a time to just notice that your neurological system has had kind of a bath. We've done a bit of cleansing there, or re-rhythming, re-guiding. And this, as a precursor to pranayama or meditation, will make those practices more accessible to us. So allow this neurological recalibration to occur now very deeply in your Shavasana. Welcome your body to really deeply rest for this neurological re-rhythming to happen moment to moment. You're not in charge of it, but I do recommend that you don't intrude on it. You may have layers of going deeper. Allow the process to continue. Dropping in to this rhythm in your body, the neurological rhythm, your ventral vagal rhythm. You're welcome that to go one more layer deep. Just about one more minute for resting in your Shavasana. And I encourage you to just gently deepen the breath. Need not be vigorous. Wiggle the toes and fingers. By the way, that's a dorsal vagal remedy also, just wiggling the toes or the fingers. Now deepen the breath slightly again, and let's bend the knees and please transition from resting back to sitting. When you come up to sit, we're going to be practicing pranayama or keeping pitta cool. There are two pranayama techniques. Hi, Hobbs. Good morning. There are two pranayama techniques that we'll be doing that are specifically for pitta dosha. I described them yesterday. We practiced them together. The work that we're doing there is to cool the inhale and to release heat during the exhale. So one is called Chandrabedna. Chandrabedna means moon breathing. We inhale left nostril only. We exhale right side only. So it'll be inhale left, exhale right. And we'll use the mudra for Nadi Shodhana, Murgi mudra, like this. The other one needs a little bit more clarification because some of you will not be able to do this thing with the tongue. We put the tongue like a little straw, curling it in the mouth and extending it just beyond the lips. So that little straw breathing is called sitali. And then for those whose tongues don't curl, which is a genetic predisposition that it can't curl, you put the tongue behind the top two teeth and you still inhale through the mouth. You're still cooling the breath with the moisture in the mouth. And then you'll close the lips like we'll do, and we're all going to exhale through the nose. And so we'll do sitali or sitkari first, and then we'll do Chandrabedna. So please take a seat that's upright, comfortable. You can close the eyes if you like. And without causing breathlessness, begin your inhale slowly to completion. Then you'll close the lips and exhale through the nose. Please do 4 more breath cycles. 2 more breath cycles. And let yourself rest in the echo of that practice. Notice any cooling effect you have for the mind. And curl the first 2 fingers of your right hand in and come up for Murgi Mudra. This is Chandra Vedana. Inhale left, exhale right, inhale left, exhale right. Complete that one more time. And then we're going to sit together for meditation time. Notice any cooling effect in the pranayama and don't disturb it. So don't let the mind wander away. So stay at rest in the inner seat of yourself, the mind, contented like the full moon in the night sky, not trying to be anything. Let your mind be as still and reflective as possible. Stillness is not the same as isolation. Let your mind stay at rest again, inward, in a place of refuge, full connection to your practice and to your practice community. Refuge is not a sense of isolation. Please raise your hands to your heart. Appreciate yourself for the efforts you've made in your practice and also to be here with us today. Thank you everyone for sharing your practice and your time. Namaste.